Welcome to the Beyond Jiu Jitsu podcast, episode number 42. Chokes versus locks, high percentage submissions to guarantee victory.
Victorious! What's up?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you ever listen to the radio here in Sydney. I don't
Triple J.
listen.
I listen to Triple J sometimes.
Right. Oh, Triple J is so shit now. Well, what am I? I'm about to sit here and say I don't listen to the radio, but then I have an opinion on the radio. Anyway, I don't really listen to the radio, but it's just on in my car when I get in the car, right? I drive usually such short distances at a time. I don't even bother like hooking up my phone to have Spotify or whatever. And I used
Unless,
to,
of course, you're listening to the Beyond Jiu Jitsu podcast, then it's highly recommended you take the extra time.
Sponsored by Bluetooth. And I also used to, when I was saving money to open Alliance Sydney, I would work cleaning swimming pools. So I was in and out of like a work ute all the time. So the radio was just always on. Anyway, so most people in Australia or definitely Sydney would know that one of the biggest radio stations here is called Kiss FM. It's all the Kyle and Jackie O show radio station is what it's known as. But they have this segment on in the afternoon. And I hear it because it's usually on my little 10 minutes in the car, 5 minutes sometimes without traffic. I live really close to the gym. Why don't I walk, you ask? Well, because I'm bulking and I'm just getting fat. No, I don't walk because I'm a grown-up. No, no, I don't know.
Because I hate the environment.
Yeah, because I usually have geese and shit in my car, so or whatever. I drive to the gym. Leave me alone. So they have this show on in the afternoon. It's called the Will and Woody Show. Will and Woody, I think, are two comedians. They have really good chemistry, right? The two hosts, right? They're actually quite funny dudes. I think they might even do they maybe have a podcast together? Or I think they just
Don't worry about it.
I think,
Don't plug it.
Yeah, I think Kiss FM take their radio shows and put them into podcast format, which I don't know if that includes all the music that plays and the commercials, or I don't know. But
Probably commercials, most likely not music.
Yeah, because otherwise, why not just listen to the radio, right?
Yeah, you'll get, depending on the music, I think you get copyrighted.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so we can't play we wouldn't be able to play a popular music track because then the artist wouldn't get paid for the streams.
Right.
Yeah.
But can I sing that track?
Well, yeah, it would sound nothing like the original, so it wouldn't flag.
All right, ready? Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
And we've lost 99% of all listeners.
That's all I know, nursery rhymes at the moment. That's
Right.
all I know. Although Atlas does
What about Coco Melon?
Yeah, Coco Melon's I don't know the songs, but Coco Melon is like a kid's show.
Yeah.
You know what song Atlas, my son, who's 2.5, sometimes asks me to sing him when I'm putting him to bed and he asks you to sing him a song.
Go on.
He says, he calls me Popeye and he'll be like, Popeye, a hepata. That's what he says. And what he's asking me to sing is that song that's like, I said a hip, a hop, a hippie to the hip, hip, hoppy, you don't stop a rockin' to the beat. You know that song?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually the one he'll ask you to
so cool.
sing. Yeah. And he'll be like, a hippity hop.
Hippity hop. So back to the
hell
Will,
were we? Oh,
Will and Woody, bro.
show.
You're telling us this really elaborate story.
Their intro is so annoying. Oh my God, I hate it. The two guys are really funny. And yeah, like I said, they've got really good chemistry. I believe they're really good friends as well in real life. So they just have super good banter and have known each other forever. And but man, their intro song is just the crappiest song. Oh man, I'm not even going to try just sing it or whatever. And if anyone has heard it, they'll know. It's so crap. And I honestly believe that them as whenever the show starts, they come in super energetic, as most sort of radio or TV personalities hosts have to be. They're like, welcome to the Will and Woody Show. Hey, blah, blah, blah. And it's it's good. But honestly, they must just be sitting there being as they're waiting to come in, being fucking hate this intro. They would have heard it so many times and it's just dumb. The lyrics for the song are dumb. Oh man. And when it comes on, I honestly I'll be driving and when it comes on, I just turn the radio off. It's that annoying.
Wow.
They should change it.
Imagine if someone did that for our intro.
No, but ours is like a nice, just little bit of music. Theirs is
Yeah.
like this crap song, Will and Woody, baby, baby. It's like it's got these dumb lyrics. It's just annoying. I turn the radio off when I'm happy to listen to Will and Woody, but whenever their little intro comes on, I legit turn it off.
The first podcast that I had was a fitness podcast, and it had
RTC Fitness, right?
RTC Fitness, podcast. I think it's still live. You could probably find it, but I don't obviously post there anymore. Haven't done for a while. And the intro song for that was like a DJ sort of like a old school radio, like welcome, blah blah blah. It had this like American voiceover guy do it, and like looking back, it was so bad, so cringe.
I wonder if they would think that about our intro. No, I think our intro is good.
Intros are clean, man. It's like clean.
It's like timeless.
Let us know. Leave a comment. Send us an Instagram DM what you think about the intro. You know what? Because we are recording so many episodes to sort of backlog for December. We are recording this in November. Might not
know this,
Yeah, we are recording this in November.
Kieren's taking holidays.
So I'm taking a holiday. I'm going to Sweden. So we're trying to make sure that we're bringing the goods.
We want you guys, a lot of podcasts
take breaks.
have a break.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's not like we would never take a break because, life comes
promise
up.
We never will.
Yeah. Things happen. But yeah, where a lot of podcasts or shows in general take breaks over the holiday period.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I take holidays over the holiday period.
Yeah.
But
fuck that.
We're pre-recording. So when you guys are on holidays over Christmas and New Year's, you still have new current Beyond Jiu Jitsu episodes coming out. So I think actually
this is in December. This will be the second week of December.
Yeah, so you'll have an episode. I was looking at the calendar. There'll be a brand new episode that actually will come out on Christmas Eve. There'll be another brand new episode that comes out on New Year's Eve. So for you guys who don't have any friends
or a life,
and your family hates you,
and all you care about is jiu-jitsu,
we got you. We
hate you. No, we love you. We love you. We love you so much for listening.
Don't hit the pause button. Come back.
Rewind.
I feel it feels
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, baby.
It feels like one of those those YouTube ads, right? And they're like 5 seconds before you can skip it. Or now there's YouTube ads that you can't even skip.
Yeah.
They're the pits. But the ones.
As someone that runs YouTube ads,
do you get more money if you run an unskippable ad? How does that work?
I don't choose. Yeah, okay, let's go into it. Like we will get into the jiu-jitsu.
Just answer it quickly.
Oh, okay. So when you
Kieren's
monetize,
let me pull up.
Let me pull out my spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you monetize YouTube, there is an option which is highly recommended that all creators use, which lets YouTube's AI monetize it for you. So you can choose where your ads go. You can put as many or as little ads as you want, but the best practice is just letting YouTube do it. So YouTube will run whatever ads it sees fit based on the content, based on your subscribers, and based on the length of the video. That's the best way to do it.
Do you get more money for that or less money? More money for that?
Well, it depends. You would, if you put more ads in, you'd get less money. But I actually don't even watch the videos anymore because of how bad it has been. Some YouTube creators, if ever you're, watching YouTube and you think, fuck, there's so many ads on this video, like way more than normal. It's probably because the creator put them there, right? To try and get more money. But it interrupts the viewing experience and takes away from it. Like I'm running
I'm going to share. I don't know how this affects the creator. I'm going to share a little hack for people for YouTube.
If you say ad blocker,
no,
I'm going to jump over that thing and slap you.
I'm going to share how you get rid of ad block, like how you essentially ad block without having ad blocker. For some reason, this doesn't work on my laptop, but it works on my phone every single time. Okay. So I watch these, this YouTube channel all the time. I think it's called Free Documentary. They're usually like 50, 55 minute documentaries about various stuff. I personally watch ones about, I don't know, like I'm watching one at the moment about the Cold War submarines. Okay. And, or I'll watch one about the Burj, what's it called? The Burj Khalifa? Is it Burj Khalifa?
Yeah.
Whatever the world's tallest building. Yeah. Engineering documentaries and things like that, all right? And I often watch them like as I'm in bed and I fall asleep watching them.
Right.
That's like, I know that's not good for like sleep and melatonin and whatever, but
Go
you know,
on.
I go to sleep watching YouTube. Leave me alone. Okay.
Why don't you go to sleep watching my YouTube? Get me that sweet, sweet revenue, baby.
I already see you so much.
Start a playlist when you're going to sleep. My dulcet tones will lull you to sleep, and I can get that sweet, sweet ad revenue.
If I wanted someone's voice to put me to sleep, I'd put a John Danaher fucking instructional on. But anyway, so like if I'm falling asleep, it's then really disruptive if an ad comes on, and you know, one of those ads that's like, you know, wait, don't hit the skip button. You know, have you ever wanted, something like that. A way to get these ads not to pop up, works on my cell, doesn't work on my laptop for whatever, is if you just take the slider and you slide all the way to the end of the video. So YouTube thinks you've watched the video, and then you hit like replay and then play the video again. None of the ads come up.
Oh, sneaky.
So I don't know what happens on the creator's end.
Yeah. Oh, we wouldn't get.
But sometimes what'll happen, sometimes it just will then go straight to the end of the video.
Play one ad.
Yeah. And it'll play one ad that you can't skip, or sometimes you can. It'll play one ad before it'll let you hit replay.
Yep.
But then it's almost, or it might play two ads. It's almost as if it like puts all the ads in the one go, and then you get a clean set of the video.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then other times, like, it won't do that. But anyway, I do it all the time.
Yeah.
So
fair
ad blocker without having ad blocker.
Fair enough. You're still watching ads. I like it.
Yeah.
So 11 minutes in.
Yeah. 11 minutes in. The Will and Woody intro sucks. I drive to work.
That's like you're addressing maybe the one person that's listening to this.
Yeah, this one person's like, finally.
And just so happens to listen to that radio station. We have mostly international listeners. I apologize for the Will and Woody.
Or search it and listen to it and tell me what you think. It sucks.
Leave us a comment. And on that note, catch you later.
Yeah, we get like one person being like, bro, I think it's actually quite a good intro. And then all these other people being like, Beyond Jiu Jitsu podcast intro sucks.
Yeah.
Your artwork sucks. Why are you on a rocket?
You guys suck. Fuck you. Yeah. Why are we on a rocket? That's a good question.
I don't know, but I love it.
Yeah, I think
it's a great artwork. I was super happy with it.
Yeah, I'm still stoked about it.
It's stupid, amazing. But it's cool.
Okay, so jokes versus locks, high percentage submissions to guarantee victory. Quite a clickbait, substantial claim, but let's get into it.
Yeah,
First of all, what's your preference? If you could get a submission by a choke or a shoulder lock, I know mine.
I'm actually trying to think like. I'm actually thinking about what's my favorite submission.
I know mine.
What's your favorite submission?
At the moment, can't get past a rear naked choke.
Yeah, it's a great one.
It just feels so satisfying.
And it's got the word naked in it.
Yeah. No, once you have a really like deep rear naked choke, well, when I get it, there's no one's getting out. No one's getting out. Yeah, if I can get my head for those that don't know this small detail, I'm gonna white belt teaching white belts here.
Oh yeah.
So my choking arm is generally my left side. I don't know why. It just so happens to be.
Have a better side.
Yeah, I don't know why. So my left side is the choking side. My right side slides in behind, and then I block my hand behind their head with my face. That's like a small.
Who taught you that, Kieren?
I don't know. I think Danaher was on an instructional.
That's where I get my goods from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I actually, I picked up that detail from Andre Galval.
Oh, there you go.
So, always stuff to learn.
Yeah.
Regardless of who it is, where they're from.
And one thing that people, because fuck it.
It's to protect your, the hand that's around your neck is the choking hand. But, yes, you can do a one-armed rear naked choke, but, let's ignore that for now. It's that hand that comes behind your head. If that's in position, you can't get the choking arm away.
Yes.
So you need to get that hand out from behind your head first before you can deal with the choking arm. So you put your chin or your face like over that hand or wrist. So if the person reaches back to try peel it off,
head's in the way.
Like they can't.
Exactly. And I think, I knew how to do a rear naked choke, not to all these details, but I knew how to do a rear naked choke well before I started jiu-jitsu. I think it's one of the most common things people know. Like, boys will be boys fucking around.
Yeah.
Rough housing. Everyone knows that one, right?
Yeah.
But way untrained people do it is they will bring it round, make like a big they extend their other arm fully out and then
Yeah.
Like,
and
kind of bring their palm. I'm trying to explain this over audio, but bring their palm to their face and then behind the head. And there's so
That's
much
wrong, bro.
opportunity. Yeah,
So wrong.
So much opportunity to get caught. So I slide it in. I don't extend it and like sort of bicep curl it.
Yeah.
Just slide it in, chuck my fucking head in the way. And
Go
if
on
I get in that
skis.
position, there's no one can get out. Like a black belt, depending on the black belt, but the black belt can get out.
Yeah, like once it's in, you shouldn't.
Yeah, you should not be able to finish it.
Yeah,
So that's why I like it so much.
And anyone who says they're getting out is like full of themselves, or it wasn't in properly. I recently,
or you haven't seen my biceps.
Yeah, I mean, I recently just as I'm in the YouTube hole, came across a video of Frank Mir talking about how to escape a rear naked choke. Do you know who Frank Mir is?
Yeah, of course.
So if you don't, he's an incredibly high level Jiu Jitsu black belt and a UFC veteran, previous, I think, heavyweight world champion. And, one of like the early day UFC guys, one of the sort of early, I don't want to say like, obviously Sorry?
He coaches now, doesn't he?
He probably coaches something. I don't know. He's not like Hoist Gracie early, like introduced jiu-jitsu to the world. But
60 or something around there, UFC 60.
Yeah, man, I got no idea. But
100.
He was one of the sort of early guys to be known for his jiu-jitsu skills, like in MMA. And I was watching him talking about how to escape a rear naked choke. It's like the exact same thing. Someone asked him like, "Oh, and like, what do you do when it is all locked in?" And he's like, "Man, like, it's like
hold your breath.
It's like too late, bro. You know, like it's if the dude has any skills, even a competent white belt, like once it's in, man, like, and they squeeze, like
that's like saying, how do I escape a Kimura when my arm's already behind my back and they're
and it's a millimeter away from dislocating.
Yeah,
like
how do I escape that? Well, you fucking don't, mate. You don't, and it's the same with the rear naked choke. That's why it's my favorite, because if you get to that position, it's only a matter of time. Like they may not tap straight away, but they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so what's my favorite submission? That kind of changes all the time. Actually, if I
know what your favorite armbar is at the moment.
What armbar is that?
Far side armbar.
Oh, the one we did yesterday.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for that class. Like, armbar. I'm so grateful because I was asking Joey like the week before, like, oh, hey, how do you do the far side armbar? And then you're like, today we're doing far side armbar. Like, yeah.
Joey didn't want to share it.
No, he didn't.
Stingy.
He said he would, but he never did.
What would be my favorite submission? Like, I mean, it kind of changes. I think I naturally like ones more that I've been able to put my own sort of twist on it.
Ah, you're Ezekiel?
Well, no, that I didn't put a twist on, right? I do that the same way that it was taught to me, like back when I was a white belt. But like the lapel Ezekiel I do from Mount, I really enjoy that. I really like bow and arrow chokes.
Yeah, me too.
I really like
I'm playing with that one at the moment.
I like, the way that I do a straight foot lock. It's kind of a bit, people might know it as like an Aoki lock. It's just like a little bit different. Or one of my favorite submissions is like, I've ranted before about how I hate when people make up dumb names for shit that already exists. So let me first say, I named this particular thing because I'm not saying I invented this. I'm sure there's people that have done it, but like it was never taught to me. And like if someone asked me what it's called, like I wouldn't know what to type into YouTube to find an instructional on how to do this. Like I don't. So feel free if someone's like, oh, I learned this from, let's say, I don't know, someone more reputable than me, feel free to tell me what they call it. I call it an Atlas submission. And it's not just like an armbar, but I hold thumb down instead of thumb up. Like, no, it's like a completely different. It's like from an platter. So who would probably have a name for this would be Clark Gracie. If you don't know, Clark Gracie is known as like the platter king. Like he has one of the best platters and all these awesome platter variations. So it's like an platter, but I actually take like the far arm from the platter position. The one where like they end up with their chest opened out like this. I call it an Atlas submission because it's kind of like, chest open out, like as if they're holding something up on their shoulders. But anyway, I really like that submission.
I think you've done that to me before.
Definitely have. So I don't know what it's
you definitely have. And I got it on film, actually.
Sick.
I remember because I was like, fuck.
But anyway, like, so, I like locks and chokes, but I think, I've got to stop saying I think. I know. I'm going to be
Yeah.
really have confidence in what I'm saying,
Yeah.
Kieren. You're always doubting me, and it's really getting to me.
You really black belt?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really? Because I spoke to Fabio.
Yeah. Yeah.
doesn't know any
I've got the
Adams.
message chain right here.
He doesn't
He's
know any
never heard of
Adams.
you. Everyone really everyone knows that from a competition point of view, chokes are the way to go.
Yeah.
Because doesn't matter, they say it doesn't matter how big, how strong you are, when
Cut off that
you
blood
cut
to
off
the
the blood
brain.
flow to the brain, you pass out. So you can't argue that chokes are definitely the better way to go,
Yeah.
right? But it doesn't necessarily mean it's the highest percentage. If we're looking at the highest percentage, I don't know if you could look past heel hooks at the moment as being the highest percentage, and I mean, as them not being the highest percentage.
Just in a couple sentences for those of the audience, for the benefit of the audience, what do we mean by highest percentage?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. What do we mean?
Dun, 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 dun.
So, well, I guess you could look at it in a couple of ways. You could look, do you mean high percentages in once you get to the submission, you have a high percentage of finishing it? Or do we mean high percentages in you have a higher percentage to get to that position?
I think it would be finishing the submission. Yeah, that is a good question, right? Because if you say what is a high percentage submission and you're only counting that percentage, that statistic when you get to the position, but it's almost impossible to get to, right?
Yeah, like you could say, let's say like a
Americana even.
Yeah, like you almost never see it anymore because
But if you get there, you're going to finish it, right?
Or what's the bloody, like a twister,
ideally.
right?
Yeah.
It's very hard to find yourself in a twister, but once you're there,
You're fucked.
it has like 100% success rate.
For me,
So I think we kind of got to combine the two.
Yeah, exactly.
So for
exactly.
example, a twister, once you're in it, has a very high finish rate, but in terms of it, a high percentage submission to put into your game plan for you to win a match by that submission, I would put a twister very low.
Whereas a triangle, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, triangle is easier to get to, but there's more, people have more experience escaping them. So it may be harder to finish a triangle. At least for me, it fucking is.
Yeah. So, so all chokes, well, and it's worth pointing out there's two types of chokes, right? You've got blood chokes, so your rear naked choke, where it cuts off the sides of the neck, the carotid artery, stops the blood to the brain. And then you've got like throat chokes that choke on your esophagus. And they, so blood chokes are to some degree painless, which is why you'll pass out because you can think you're fine, it doesn't hurt, and then you pass out. Whereas throat chokes are painful, and they don't necessarily cut off the blood.
They cut off your airway.
Yeah, but you can hold your breath hypothetically,
which
for
is what I do
a long
often.
time, right? But they hurt a lot.
Yeah.
So not all chokes are equal, but for the sake of this, most chokes are blood chokes, right? So chokes are great because they're going to put you to sleep if they're on correctly. But heel hooks are also incredibly high percentage because it's, I don't want to say relatively easy. I mean, but yeah, it's relatively easy to get to leg entanglements. I mean, I say that, but if I were to roll with Gordon Ryan, I would never get to a leg entanglement if he didn't want me to, right? But it's relatively easy to get your legs tangled up with someone opposed to get your arms around their neck, I think. And then even though it's a lock and not a choke, because the breaking point is so easy to get to once you're in the position, those two factors combined make it an incredibly high percentage finish. So, for example, let's look at the fight 2004 Worlds was Roger Gracie versus Jacare. If you don't know about this fight, it's a very famous fight where Jacare was winning on points in the final. I believe it was the finals of the Worlds 2004. Jacare was winning on points. Hodger had Jacare in an armbar, right? And Jacare knew he was up on points, but there was only like a minute to go or 30 seconds to go. And he just let Hodger break his arm. So with his broken arm, he could rip his arm out of the armbar, and then he just ran out the clock and he won the match, right? Whereas obviously if it were a choke, he would have passed out, and when he's asleep, the fight's over, and Hodger would have won. So
Yeah, it's either over or you die.
yeah, but I think everyone's pain threshold is obviously different, but I don't know, man. I feel that people are less likely to let their legs break than their like arms and shoulders. I don't know why
I don't know why, but yeah, I agree. I think for me, it's a fear of knees. Like I know that once your knee has blown, it is a trial to get it back. Well, I mean, you could say that about an arm as well, but there's something about it, like not being able to walk or like having that knee issue. But I mean, to your point, in a more recent example,
sorry, just interrupt, but I think it's also because heel hooks expose the joint in a way that it's not supposed to bend, and I know that's can be said about all joint locks. But here's what I mean. When you do an arm bar, you're forcing the arm into hyperextension. And that's not the way the arm's supposed to bend, but it naturally has, everyone's different, but it has a little bit of hyperextension in it as it is. It has a bit of give.
Fail safe, if you will.
Same with the Kimura, right? Like you're forcing the shoulder into past where it can rotate, but it's already in an orientation that it moves, right? So even an arm bar, it's in the opposite direction, but you're operating within the linear movement of that joint, right? The compression and the extension of the joint. Whereas when you look at a heel hook, it's not like a knee bar. A knee bar is an arm bar on the legs. You're hyperextending the knee. Some people have really good range in their hyperextension of their knee, and you're operating in the direction that the joint already bends, right? Whereas a heel hook is into the side of the knee, like the joint doesn't bend that way in either direction. Yeah. Whereas in a knee bar, you're bending it in the wrong direction, but you're still operating in the direction that the joint is designed to operate. Yeah. Whereas a lateral, there's zero bend. Yeah. You're on bone.
You're not on.
So it's like real aggressive, the breaking point, incredibly painful, the breaking point, and a really good visualization of it is I think it was the last Who's Number One, or by the time you guys are listening to this, it might be 2 Who's Number Ones ago. But Jacob Couch from Daisy Fresh fought Roberto Jimenez from Studio 54, I think their gym's called now, in Las Vegas. And Jacob submitted him with a heel hook from 50-50. Roberto was standing, and man, you really see his knee give out laterally, and Roberto tap and scream out in pain, it.
Did he have any permanent damage?
I don't know. I haven't I don't follow him as much on social media as I used to. I'm not sure. I looked at it thinking man, he's maybe didn't need surgery, but I've looked at it thinking there's no way something isn't torn. Because you can tear a ligament without needing surgery, right? You have a grade 1, grade 2 tear or something. I reckon he would have. Well, he wouldn't have been walking the next day. There's no way.
In a very recent UFC match, I think it was UFC 266 or something, somewhere around there, it would be easy to find Sandhagen versus Chandler. Sandhagen had Chandler in a heel hook, and Chandler just did not tap. And even all the commentary and the way he was carrying himself after, his knee would have been shot. Well, I don't think he tore anything because he didn't need surgery. But I mean, the damage on his knee would have been definitely there. And
one of the more jiu-jitsu specific famous incidents was what, exploded Craig Jones onto the scene when he fought Leandro Lowe at the ADCC and submitted him with a rear naked choke. He got to his back off Leandro, defending, very loosely using the term defending, a heel hook. But Craig had him in a heel hook, and he said in an interview or in a podcast or something, Craig said that he heard Leandro's knee tear. He said it made the same sound as if you rip corrugated cardboard. That's what he said Leandro's knee sounded like. So even aggressive heel hooks, yes, they're super high percentage. They're not as, if you just look at in terms of its finishing rate when it's on, it's not 100% like a blood choke. A correctly applied blood choke will work 100% of the time because you cut off blood to the brain. There's science, bitches. Yeah. But, even though heel hooks are incredibly high percentage, they are not 100% when it's on, because you will still find that one one or two people who will let you rip their leg apart
Those
and put them in a
crazy
wheelchair.
motherfuckers.
But like there are very few of them,
Yeah.
you know, and I believe the combination of there not being many people willing to let it break and that getting legs tangled, like they're just such a high percentage. Heel hooks and any blood choke really.
In the gym, just training, my preference to get a submission is 110% every single day of the week a choke. Like,
Why?
because there's less risk of injuring my partner.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like if I've not injured someone without like, you know, fuck, I put on a rear naked choke across someone's face before, whatever, you know.
Why didn't they move their face out
exactly,
of the way?
like
Idiot.
hurt their nose, whatever, you get over it. It's fine. I don't mind. And I've fucking ripped chokes on across people's jaws and shit. Like, you know, that's the nature of training, right? But I've never like actually injured someone using a choke versus a joint lock.
Yeah.
So I'm very wary of rolling with some, particularly when we're both going hard, when we're both like, you know, neither of us wants to lose, like it's training, like, or even a competition sort of role or a competition class. You know, if I get someone in a joint lock, I have that little like inkling feeling like, oh, I'm not super happy about this position right now.
Because when you're training, right, you need to look after yourself and look after your partner.
Yeah.
However, sometimes this is something I always criticize you on, which is every time you're caught in a submission, as in like a joint submission, you see, it's not like you let yourself get really deep into it. You never wanted to, but it's like no matter how deep you're in it, you see if you can dig yourself out. And you often, you know, then come away with not a permanent or even a short-term injury, but you'll often come away being like, oh, I should have tapped earlier, right? And it's important as a competitor to do that every now and again. You definitely want to be able to see, I don't mean put yourself in a bad position, but when you're in, when your back's against the wall, you got to see how much you got.
Can I do that hitchhiker?
Yeah,
can I
like
do that fucking,
but you can't do it every time.
Yeah.
You know, it's just too damaging for your joints. And, you know, I'm sitting here as someone who's shortly heading off for elbow surgery due to bone spurs in my elbow. If you don't know what that is, it's like from wear and tear in the joint, essentially from years. It's not an injury as in trauma happened. It's just years of—
It's a chronic sort of issue.
Yeah, it's a chronic injury from years of compression in the joint and hyperextension in the joint that the joint has kind of worn away, and the body— attempt to repair it is to like grow extra bone, almost like like almost how you get calluses on your fingers, but in the joint. However, you know, the body doesn't regrow bone correctly. So there's now just extra bits of bone in the joint that get in the way of the joint, and very painful to extend and compress the arm. So as someone who has had their joint continuously hyperextended and compressed over the years, like it's not healthy. I'm not saying that means everyone's going to get bone spurs. Like I'm actually I actually don't have any jiu-jitsu friends who have had elbow surgery due to bone spurs. But the surgeon told me, for example, it's really common in boxers as well, because when boxers are defending punches, right, like their elbow gets a bit more compressed than they would want, like as they're blocking punches, like their elbow just, but that as well. When they throw, like, you know, they've gone for a punch and they're throwing 100%, but they miss because the guy dodged, like they hyperextend their elbow a little bit.
Snaps into
and just years of doing that, right, just wears the joint down. So it's just not super healthy to fight that hard every single time. Even if you don't come away with a short-term injury, just that like, oh, I should have tapped earlier. Yeah, every now and again so you can see like if you've got what it takes to get out, you know. And there's times that you'll get out, there's times you won't and you'll think I should have tapped earlier, and there's times that you will get out and think I should have tapped earlier as well. Like I do that quite a lot, actually, more than I'd like to admit. I'll get out of a position and then, you know, actually, no, I feel like it's always worth it when you get out. Like if you get out and you've still got that, I should have tapped earlier. It's like, well, at least you got out. But when you get submitted and you think I should have tapped earlier, it's like, well, I got tapped anyway. I should have just tapped earlier.
So I have a training partner, Samir, and he has a vicious armbar. Whenever he gets me in an armbar, I'll fight it to the fucking last.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he knows it too. So he, like when we're having a very heated roll, he doesn't bring it on slow and he does give me a chance to tap. I'm not saying he tries to break my arm. Like, I'm not saying that, but he knows that I'm going to fight. So he doesn't, give that little grace period. Like, okay, I do that, particularly when I'm rolling against someone that's newer. I'll get them in the position, like an armbar, for example, and I won't put it on, which I don't know if this is a bad habit. You could probably tell me. I'll just extend their arm and I won't put on the submission, but I'm sort of letting them know, like, hey, tap now, please. Like, it's time to tap.
I mean,
otherwise I'm going to hurt you.
I mean, I usually do that even against more experienced partners, unless we're having a bit of a competition roll,
Then you need to finish it.
Gonna judge it on each roll individually.
Yeah. So I do it like Kimuras, Americanas, arm bars particularly. Like, try to get to that position where, you're going to apply it and then just wait.
Yeah, you kind of want to take them to that point where you're like, hey man, if I go a little bit more,
give them a chance to fight. And then, particularly like the some of the newer guys, I don't think they get the message, right?
Yeah.
So they kind of like are sort of squirming around.
Yeah, and a really common one you see actually is when, let's say an armbar and the guy's connected his grips and he's fighting it with everything and the guy's pulling on it with everything.
Yeah.
And then the guy who's fighting the armbar so hard, he goes from 100% fighting it to his grip like breaking, and then so it goes from 100 to 0 in terms of defense.
Yep.
But the guy who's been pulling on it is still pulling on it at 100, so he doesn't have time. Yeah, he doesn't have time to adjust that you just 100% gave out, right? Whether that's because your bicep gassed or your grip slipped or whatever it is, and then he just slingshots back into this hype, and you don't get a chance to tap because you held on until it failed, like
same with Kimura, same position, same sort of grip.
Yeah. And you just give no chance.
And then all of a sudden you just fucking sprungboard their bloody joint to the next fucking room.
But with chokes, it's I guess you could say it's a little, I'm hesitant to say it's a little safer to be able to fight it really hard.
I don't know how dangerous it is to go out. Like,
look,
I'd actually like to know because
I don't know from a medical point of view, but I don't know that much about science. But I don't believe consistent restriction of blood to the brain is good for you.
Yeah.
Right. So
you wouldn't want to be doing it once a week, but I mean,
I've gone out once in my entire career. So, I mean, there's times where I've gone really close where like, then when you finally tap, you almost like need 30 seconds. You're like, hang on, because you went so close. But even that I avoid doing, I think maybe with experience, you kind of get to a point where if I'm not getting out of this, even if they haven't put the squeeze on yet.
I mean, I've been in that position. You know that how you like, oh fuck, I need 30 seconds. I've been in that position after escaping. Right. So
and then you're trying to and then you're like, oh, where am I trying to?
And then I just grab and hold. Like I for some reason I end up in like side control.
Well, it's like the dudes in the UFC who you see them like go out and then wake up and start fighting the ref.
Yeah. Or they're about to go out, so they go into turtle and just grab onto like anything they can find, like a leg or something. You saw that in UFC 268, Usman versus Kobe Covington. Covington at the end of the second round nearly got knocked out, and he just grabbed onto Usman's like leg and just like was, trying his best. You could tell that he was like fucking moments away from going out. And it was 10 seconds left, so he survived. But that in a jiu-jitsu context, I've been in that situation a lot. Yeah.
So I don't recommend doing that.
Yeah.
I don't, it just can't be good for you.
Yeah.
And I say that even when you're drilling techniques, right? Let's say something that's a bit known for being a bit nastier to drill, like guillotines, right? Yeah. Guillotines are one of those submissions that if you get caught in a tight one, or if you drill it really aggressively, you wake up the next day and you're like, I think I'm getting sick. And then you're like, oh no, I just got guillotined and my throat's sore.
Yeah.
So that's one that, I'll say to people, okay, when you're drilling this, you're about to drill this for like 3 minutes each, so do the first like 2 or 3 nice and tight. So you and your partner both know that it's being done correctly. But then after that, you don't need to rep every single one for the next 3 minutes, like really tight. The same with joint locks, right? Like
I do that with all
if I'm doing an armbar, I'll do 1 or 2 where I take it all the way to max extension and you have to tap. And but then after that, like, yes, I still want to go through the motions because we're building muscle memory, but I don't need to every repetition really hyperextend your elbow.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise you end up with bone spurs, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So, and yeah, same for chokes. Like if I'm like, yeah, I'll do the first few rear naked chokes nice and tight. So you might feel a bit of that like loss of blood to the brain, but I'm then not going to do every rep where you're like, I mean, imagine just constantly like throttling someone, for 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
It can't be good.
Yeah, that's absolutely a better way to drill is do a couple and then just go not go through the motions, but then just do the technique without applying the submission portion.
And even if some neuroscientist was like, no, there's zero harm to your brain, go for it. I'll be like, yeah, but it's like not very pleasant.
Nah, it's shit.
So like
it's really shit.
Why do it anyway?
Yeah. And onto your point about, being stubborn in guillotines or getting caught in real tight guillotine, I was being very arrogant with a newer guy last month or like the start of this month, a little while ago, right? A few weeks back. And we're doing stand up and I was being a fucking arrogant little bitch because I thought I was just going to like absolutely towel him. And he caught me in a standing guillotine. And I was so stubborn. I did not want to tap because like I let myself get there and I'm like, no way, I'm not tapping. So I like let him just fucking crank my neck for so long. And I finally tapped and like stormed off like a little bitch. And I had straight up, like you were saying, you think you're getting sick. I had the worst throat pain for like 2 weeks. Not worth it.
Yeah.
Don't be arrogant.
I had a roll a little while ago. I can't even remember who it was or what the position was, but it was something where like they had me in some type of submission, but it was like, it wasn't tight at all. And so I'd already like put into my head, like this submission ain't happening. Like it's so loose. I'm going to pass or sweep or get or whatever. I honestly can't remember what the position was, but then it got super tight. And I got really stubborn because I had already told myself that it's not tight. And he's not going to get it.
Not happening, son.
Yeah, not happening. No, I already told myself it ain't happening. Yeah. And then I ended up getting out. But then I remember afterwards being like, holy shit, that was tight.
Yeah. Man, I've been getting a really bad habit. I've been getting like, lack of a better word, like there is no better word. I've been getting arrogant a little bit with like some of the like less experienced white belts will say. And me going into the role and being like, yeah, this will be fine. Like, I'll dictate the pace and then let them get too deep into the waters that, I'm like, oh fuck, now I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
And then I'm like so stubborn, like you said, like I've already decided in my mind, I'm smashing this person.
Yeah.
And then I have to like, all right, now we fucking got to turn it on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got to stop doing that.
Yeah, I do that sometimes.
I got to stop doing that. Like it's good to, I mean, I suppose, like correct me if I'm wrong, but it's good to experience difficult positions or put yourself in bad positions within reason, not being a dick.
Yeah, you got to be careful though, because you can reinforce bad habits.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what I'm concerned about.
I mean, if you're just doing jiu-jitsu for a hobby, it's not the end of the world.
Yes. But, I don't want to give an inch. I don't want to concede a sweep. I don't want to fucking, let someone take my back when I shouldn't.
Yeah. Same way, like I'm not going to be playing a game of football, like a game of soccer and be like, I'm going to pass the ball to the enemy, the opposing team, to then see if I can take it back from them.
Yeah, you're not going to do that.
Like, why?
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, you don't want to reinforce bad habits and then that becomes you just being really shit at passing the ball.
Exactly. Right? Because like if you translate it to a competition context, right? If I get in a scenario where normally I let the less experienced guy pass me in this because it's like, I can be fucked defending and I'll just escape. But if I'm in a competition, equal skill, equal weight.
It won't necessarily play out like that.
Exactly. I might get into that position, arrogantly think, I'll be able to pass because I always pass in the gym or like escape rather. And then be like, oh, fuck.
Yep.
I can't escape.
Yeah, that's right.
And now I'll lose. Yeah, don't want to do that.
I just want to tell a bit of a story for chokes and going out, right? You sometimes see these old school gyms or whatnot, and they do this really dumb training where they choke you out intentionally. Actually, who does this in the modern era is Murillo from Unity in New York. I've never met Murillo in person, so I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have these stories from like the first-hand individuals who have experienced it or been there and seen it. But anyway, I just want to say this is just what I've been told. I was never there. But a couple of things that I've heard is for one, like apparently Murillo really hates getting photos taken, right? So sometimes when visitors drop into the gym, And they're like at the end of class or whatever, they're like, oh, Murillo, can I get a photo with you? And he'll be like, yeah, sure. And he'll do that whole like, you know, how sometimes for a photo, like, oh, make it look like I'm choking you, you know, but then he'll actually just choke them out while they're getting their photo taken. Another one
that's like assault, I reckon.
Yeah.
Honestly,
another
like
one
without sounding like a pussy, if you do that without, you know,
you're a dick.
And you like they tap and you don't stop, that's assault.
Yeah. Another one is, you know, I know of someone who was, when they were their brown belt from Murillo, they were, then this is like, I know firsthand who this person is, and they were brown belt. And when they were getting their black belt, Murillo's like rolling with them and he's like passing them, past their guard and whatever, got to mount or something. He's like, okay, man, like you're getting your black belt today. I'm going to choke you out now. Okay. And he's like fighting, having almost like a panic attack. Like, no. And like Murillo just choked him unconscious, even though like he was tapping. And even though he was saying like, no, please don't, you know, so there's some of these gyms that
what's the point in that, eh?
Oh, it's so stupid. Like, it's not like you get tougher from it. And it's, yeah, it can't be healthy. And there's some of these older gyms as well that it's like part of it. So I'm not going to mention any names, but this happened at the gym recently where someone was talking about an old gym that they came from where it was just part of the training where the instructor would choke everyone unconscious, you know, just line them up, choke them out, choke them out, choke them out. And then he got one of the other members in my gym, right? And I don't condone this sort of activity, but it all happened like too fast. Like it happened while I was busy doing something else. So I caught just the end of it, but they sat down on their butts in front of each other and they're like, okay, we're going to cross collar choke each other at the same time until someone goes out. Right. And one of the guys passed out and the other dude, you know, thought he was just teasing him because the dude who passed out was actually bigger and stronger. And so the guy was like, oh, he's making fun of me pretending to pass out. So like as he fell back, passed out, he threw his leg over on top onto mount and like kept choking him until I came over and was like, whoa, bro, what's going on? He's out, you know? And like, it's like so dumb. Like it was a pretty funny thing to happen, but like doesn't mean just because something, you know, it's funny.
It's funny because the bigger guy was the one that initiated it.
And it's funny to look, it's funny to look back at it, but it's also like, it's just so irrelevant, bro. Like, I mean, it's so unnecessary.
How is that teaching you anything?
You know, have you seen, there's also some videos that have gone around ages ago. I remember seeing one where, you know, it was like a Muay Thai gym or something and the instructor lined everyone up and he would just line them up and just be like, man, like not just like little sort of like, I'm going to give you some little jabs in the belly. So you build up that resistance of what it's like to get, you know, because if I'm giving you some light punches in your abs, it's like a ab workout, but it's also like it's nothing compared to when you get properly hit in the guts or kicked in the guts. Like it's to some extent you have to build up some of that resistance, you know, that learn what it feels like. No, it wasn't that, man. He's like got them lined up and he's pretty much like full swinging at their heads, just like left hook, right hook, left hook, right hook. And then he'd move on to the next person.
That's how you get a concussion.
Yeah. And some of them were even, I'm not saying girls can't be tough and can't fight, but like there were girls in the class and the male instructors just like deck, just like swinging on these chicks like who were lined up. And I think this was going around while I was in Brazil and it like kind of went viral and people were like, this dude needs to be charged with assault. Like,
that is assault. That is straight up assault.
You know, so that type of training method when it's in jiu-jitsu where you choke people out intentionally or like, it's like, oh man, like,
It doesn't matter. Even if you're like in the most elite competition team in the world, there's no place for that.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean,
it doesn't make sense.
I mean, if you accidentally get choked out in a roll because you didn't tap or whatever, man, like it happens, right? But
like I was a white belt, got caught in a baseball bat choke. We're doing a specific drill where you had to pass, right? It was pass, sweep, submit, like, and I was trying to pass a blue belt. He got me in the baseball bat choke. I was unaware of what was going on. I was passed. I thought I had the pass.
Oh, you got the one from the bottom.
Yeah, one from the bottom, and he just rolled over. Yeah. And because I was like, I beat this blue belt. I went out.
Yeah,
I didn't feel it coming. Just boom, it happened. Just went out. But yeah, like, you know, that sort of shit can happen. There was a case, I think, I don't know when it was a couple of years ago, but in the last like 5 years where I think it was in Africa, this judo instructor was, they do this thing and this went viral recently where they like throw the kids.
Oh,
like
I saw that. That was brutal.
Yeah. So there was this one.
I tried to find it recently. I couldn't find it.
So bad, right? So this fully grown man, he would be like 90 plus kilos. He's throwing this like 20 kilo kid.
Dude.
I'm talking like he's 8 or 10. And he's slamming this kid on these mats that are this paper thin. It's basically on ground. And the kid died from internal bleeding.
If you haven't seen this video,
it is horrific.
It's. I actually didn't know he died. Now, I'm. That's probably why it's hard to find now, or that I couldn't find it.
Yeah. He died later that day at hospital
because it's not. You can't just find video footage of people being murdered.
Yeah,
right?
Effectively, he was murdered. Yeah, it was so sad.
Eddie's pretty much looks exactly the same as that. God, I'm not up to date with Marvel, but like the Avengers movie where Hulk grabs
smashes,
Loki and he's just like going smash. I think it was like one of the first Avengers.
This is the first Avengers.
The first one, right?
Yeah.
That's, I mean, man, no joke. It pretty much looks exactly like that. It is
the same. He is just picking him up and just slamming him left, slamming him right.
Not just
again.
like doing a little hip toss and because the adult's bigger, the kid falls from a height. Like he literally lifts him all the way up over his shoulder, like something out of a video game and goes slam. Picks him
honestly,
up, slam.
I think Samir shared it because Samir is a brown belt in judo and he was sharing it to shed light on how brutal and terrible it is and doesn't condone that sort of behavior in judo and was like, basically saying how, this is a disgrace to judo. And it really just was gut wrenching to watch that poor child be assaulted by someone that, he's meant to respect and look up to. And I look at choking students out for the sake of it or punching them in the head for the sake of it to toughen them up.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's exactly the
it
same
goes
thing.
on the same. If you've got a line in the sand, they all sit on the same side of that line. Which is shit that's not cool.
Yeah, 100%. It's not about being a bitch, being a pussy. It's not about like, you can't handle it or whatever. It's not about that. It's stupid. It serves no benefit.
Yeah, none at all.
Like none. Anyway, that's my sad little rant.
Yeah, you can have it. But for every story like that, there's good ones. Like I saw this one a while ago that was, for kids. I think that obviously I'm biased to thinking jiu-jitsu is the best, but any martial art can, if you have a good instructor, offers a lot of skills to kids. So it could be karate, taekwondo, whatever. They're going to learn discipline, coordination, social skills, a lot of these life skills that are great for kids. There was this karate instructor, and I might be mixing stories. I'm not sure if this is the one where he runs a class specifically for boys without fathers or something like that.
I know who you're talking about.
But it was this one where he had to break a bit of wood or something, and this kid's in tears because he can't break the bit of wood. And just like, man, like it wasn't like the guy gave some crazy powerful speech, but just the way he dealt with the situation and the way he talked to the kid and everything. And long story short, like the kid broke the bit of wood. Like it was awesome. I
think that was actually his son.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think that was.
Sure?
Yeah. Because that guy was on Joe Rogan podcast.
God damn it, Kieren. Why are you ruining every story with
No, he's awesome. I have him on Instagram. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Joe Rogan, I know you have him on Instagram.
That video, funny. That video went uber viral. And yeah. So he does run like a martial arts program based around karate for underprivileged boys mostly or children. And basically their whole practice isn't necessarily about teaching high level karate. It's not about that at all. It's about empowering young men.
Yeah.
And I think that particular video was his son. And the reason he was in tears is because on the way to the gym that particular day, they're talking about breaking the board. That was like the big thing of the day.
Yeah.
And, the son didn't want to disappoint his dad. And he was like, blah, blah, blah. I think that's the case. So it could be a very similar video.
Dad's like, don't worry, son. You've got plenty other opportunities to disappoint me. It's okay.
Yeah. So, he was on Joe Rogan podcast. That's how I know who he is. I can't remember his name. Apologies. But yeah.
Anyway, so there's lots of good ones out there too. There's also lots of fairy martial arts where the whole fall over and flip. Yeah.
Oh, like Aikido and like.
No, I don't mean like Aikido. Like, I mean,
but
those
Aikido's
ones,
pretty bullshit.
The ones that like essentially
Or
like preach
spiritual stuff, yeah.
telekinesis
Oh my
pretty
God.
much, right? So stupid.
The best videos on the internet are those dudes facing off against
Real
mixed martial
dudes.
arts.
Oh man, I love seeing
Like
it.
there's one infamous one, is one of the first ones. This MMA athlete, they're both sitting across from each other on their knees, like sort of sitting down on their knees. And the spiritual guy's like, yeah, let me get my chi, and he gets his force field ready, and they're like, all right, ready, go. And he's like, just fucking gets wailed on, gets
so
wailed.
good.
This
Like
other guy
punches
just
him like a
fucking
couple of
smashes him.
times, and then he's like, "You okay?" And then hits him again.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, hang on, I just didn't have my chi aligned or whatever.
Dude, it's like, yeah,
It's ridiculous.
It's
mate.
literally just. I mean, I don't want to see them get hurt, but at the same time, you're running a scam. Like it's 100% a scam. You're exploiting gullible,
they do that shit in
vulnerable
Aikido
people.
as well.
Yeah, a bit they do.
Because
There's a guy recently here in Australia, and I don't know if I heard it on the radio while I was in the car, but I only
Must be
caught.
true.
Yeah, it must be true. I only caught the second half of the story, so I don't know if this guy was running this business as a legitimate thing or if he was doing it as a gag joke thing. Because what he was doing was selling these crystal necklace pendants, right? This was during lockdown in Sydney. He was selling these crystal necklaces that he said he had empowered the crystals with negative energy to expel people away from you, with the whole like social distancing thing. So I don't know if he was selling it like as a gag gift, that it was meant to be a joke, or if it was meant to be legitimate, because people believe in the powers of crystal, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, but I believe he was maybe doing it legitimately, because the half of the interview I caught, he was saying that he would line all these crystals up, and then he'd be on his balcony and he would yell like, "Get away from me, you moron, 1.5 meters social distance, you effing this, effing that," to charge the crystals to the point where his neighbors would knock on his door.
I was about to say,
stuff.
imagine the neighbors. Like, what is this fucking dude doing?
Yeah, right. So, but
Wow.
anyway, like, if he was legitimately selling the crystals, thinking they're empowered with negative, like I see that as you're running a scam.
Yeah.
A scam, like it may as well be a pyramid scheme against the law scam, in my opinion. If it's a gag gift, then it's a gag gift. Buy it from a joke shop.
Yeah, but I mean, if he truly believes it and other people believe it too, fuck it, go for it. If you want to spend your money on that, go for it.
Yeah.
But
Do you know how much money he made in 6 months?
with thousands.
$500,000.
Holy shitballs. Okay.
$500,000 in 6 months for
Wow.
selling negative energy empowered crystals.
I
That
should've-
he
I
said
should've
he
got
would he would get a box of 200 crystals, right? And he would
Yell at them.
yell profanities at them.
Nice. I
And
like
then
it.
put them on a necklace and sell them.
I like it. But
$500,000.
I mean, with that sort of shit, a lot of it is the power of persuasion and influence. And back to not to backtrack, but the whole people that fall over for the force fields and things like that. I was watching a video of a Aikido black belt that dedicated his life to Aikido, right? He thought it was legitimately a martial art that was legitimately going to, work on the streets and that sort of stuff. And then he came to the realization through, investigating it and being real with himself, how it's bullshit. And he ended up training Jiu Jitsu instead. And his channel's all about his journey in Jiu Jitsu. And he said there was one time there was a very, very high level, like grandmaster Aikido person from Japan visit his gym. And he was doing like a demonstration on this guy as a black belt, because he was the instructor there. And he, instructed him to try and get up with his like finger or hand in his face or something. And he was going to stop him with his energy, which you can only get when you're like this grandmaster Japanese guy.
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, just try and get up. And the guy was saying, he knew he could get up, but he didn't want to embarrass this man in front of everyone. So he didn't get up. He like acted, and he knowingly acted that he couldn't. So in a way, it wasn't the, spiritual power. It was the power of influence, right? Because if you had this high level Japanese guy that is considered one of the best Aikido people in the world come to your gym and you're the instructor and you embarrass him, you'd be outcast, right?
That's actually funny you say that, because getting so off. Well, we haven't been talking about chokes versus submissions for joint locks for a long time. But welcome to the Beyond Jiu Jitsu podcast, or the Derailed podcast.
Yeah, the waffle.
But I stumbled onto a random little like 1-2 minute YouTube video. Some guy, I don't know his name. He was in an interview. I think he's some like big savvy marketer or something.
Right.
But his like thing is that he says he's really stupid and he's not afraid of being the dumbest person in the room. Right. And he goes, I'll give you the perfect example. He goes, I ask a lot of questions. And he had been contracted for some project with some company, like a Fortune 500 company. And he got invited to be in this meeting that's like all these board members of this big company. And he's sitting in on a meeting between the company and like I don't know what it was, like an advertising agency or something.
Right.
Okay. Who's giving their PowerPoint. And he's sitting there and he's sitting going like, man, what am I doing here? Like I have he's got the PowerPoint printed out in front of him. He's like, I don't understand any of this. Right. And after a little while, he's like, wait, sorry. He's like, can I just ask, like, you say that, X equals Y, but like here it says X equals Z. He's like, sorry, I just don't understand. And the lady would try to explain it. And then he just like kept asking questions, being like, sorry, I know I'm stupid. I actually don't understand any of this. And what happened is like one by one, the more that he was asking questions, because he was the stupidest person in the room, it turned out that like all the other executives of the Fortune 500 company, they're like started putting their hands up being like, yeah, I actually don't understand this either.
Yeah.
Whereas if he wasn't there being stupid and asking all these questions, they probably just for the social norm or whatever, to some extent would have just gone away with it, ended up with this proposal that they paid millions of dollars for and never would have used because no one understood it. Right. And this is an anecdote that this guy tells, right? So I'm not saying that all executives are just yes men, but you know what I mean? Like it's sort of that power of influence or not wanting to stick your hand up, be like, I'm the only dude that doesn't understand, or I'm the only dude that this magical key power doesn't work on or whatever.
Well, they've run an experiment testing this exact hypothesis. And the way the experiment went is they had 3 lines on a PowerPoint and it was very easy. You just had to say which line was longer. And it wasn't an illusion. It wasn't an optical illusion or anything. It was like 1, 2, or 3. And it was clearly number 2 was the longer line, right? And they went around the room and asked everyone, like, it was a classroom setting and the person in the lab coat up the front, and everyone, they purposely asked the subject last and everyone else was an actor. And they're like, oh, line number 1. And they all said line number 1 was clearly longer, right? And they basically gaslighted the subject into being like, oh yeah, line number 1. So he went along with the status quo when it was clearly number 2. Like obviously the line number 2 was longer, but they changed their answer to line number 1, not to look stupid. And only less than 10%
said line number 2.
Said line number 2.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, only less than 10% actually said what they believe.
I'm going to start selling belts empowered with jiu-jitsu knowledge because I infuse them with jiu-jitsu knowledge.
Yeah.
And
how would you infuse them?
I'm going to yell jiu-jitsu techniques at them.
Right.
And
what techniques are you going to yell at them?
I'm not going to yell. I'm going to hold the belt in my hands. I'm going to close my eyes.
Yeah.
I'm going to rub it on my face.
Yeah.
Oh shit! $500,000 later. Oh shit!
Oh, we're gonna be rich.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there, guys.
Good place.
Chokes versus locks. Everyone knows you. Big buff dude, no blood to the brain. They're going to go out. So they're incredibly high percentage, but you just can't ignore heel hooks. They're very Gucci at the moment. They go
trendy.
Yeah, they work really well.
In vogue.
Very high percentage as well. I think they're just like the 2 best avenues to pursue. Guys, if you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to give us a like on your listening platform. We're now one of those people that are like, it really helps out a lot.
But it does. And if you do enjoy the episode, that taking that extra second to give us support, we'll really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day. Catch you next time.
Bye.